one. No.
Hi guys, thanks for stopping by. This is episode 5 of Rewind, and this week's feature is Project X on the Amiga 500, a 1992 game by Team 17. Just wanted to show off a little bit of the title screen music there because it is absolutely fantastic. It was probably my favourite thing about this game when I was a kid. It was like listening to a real rave number on the Amiga, really pushing the Amiga's sound chip to its max. Now you have to actually go into the options menu to choose which ship you want. Now we're probably going to go with the Crux 2 battle class, because it is pure class. The other ones are a little bit on the weak side in terms of weapons. I mean, it's a stealth facility there on the scout class, but the battle class can actually use the stealth as well, so I'm not sure what that's all about really. This game is another horizontal shooter. This time we are actually going to be in space, in a spaceship, and we're not a bee or any other weird creature like that. Even the loading screen menu is really good. Now, from what I remember of this game, the basic gist is you're travelling through space. I think, in fact, it actually comes up in a second. You're travelling through space to get to this planet to wipe all the inhabitants out, which sounds like a lot of fun. I thought the text would have come up by now. Oh, here we go. As you break out of hyperdrive, you realise your first mission is to reach the planet itself. Rix is situated at the end of a tricky sector. Enemy forces have been alerted. I don't even have time to read all that. So we are in space first. We approach the planet, so this first level has the asteroid belts and all that kind of stuff.
Destroy waves for power.
So I always find in these shooter games, being too fast is something of a disadvantage, because my ship tends to be all over the place. I end up flying into something. So being in this slower ship is, fine by me, and you can just sit right back on the left hand side of the screen there and lay waste to absolutely everything. Now, this was actually one of my dad's computer games. I'd play it now and again, but this was one of the games that I would just watch my dad play. Having a go at it now, it seems alright, but I don't actually ever remember my dad completing this, so it must be a pretty tricky game. Now we are flying the battle class ship, as I mentioned earlier. This ship can actually upgrade its weapons a lot further than the other ships can. The scout ship that we saw is pretty poor when it comes to upgrading your stuff. So when you see enemies like this, it's a pain to actually kill them. Now, I remember my dad's trick at this bit was to actually ignore this completely, this ship, and just let it fly away, because that happens, and I just fell for it. A second ship flies in and totally does you in. So I'm going to ignore it this time. It'll leave me alone. Not a very good security force, is it really? I'll have a little go, and if I can't get him, I'll bugger off. So I'm going to try and replicate as much of this from memory as, you know, how my dad used to play it. And my dad always went for the plasma cannons with the side shots and the missiles. Whenever I used to play this game, I always used to go for the magma gun because I thought it sounded cooler and it had a better sound effect when you shot it. But I'm sure in my dad's wisdom he realised that, you know, the plasma was a better all-round weapon because it fired up and down much like this basic gun that you start with does, whereas the magma and the laser just go in a straight line in front of your ship. I do think my favourite weapon is probably the homing missile though, as weird as that sounds. The boss on the second level, I remember I used to be able to beat that by basically flying the ship as tight into the top right hand corner of the screen as I could and just letting the homing missiles fly around the screen and kill it for me, which is pretty smart but also pretty boring as well. Oh, 3 power-ups, yes. Plasma cannons back on. Another part of this level I remember struggling a lot on when I tried to play this game was a section where these missiles fly at you, and I only ever used to be able to do it by collecting enough power-ups to get the stealth and just being invincible through the whole section. If I didn't get enough to get the stealth up to that point, I would just die and it would be game over and I'd have to start again. But my dad had a method to avoid the missiles that I couldn't quite replicate whenever I had a go at the game. So he always managed to use his power-ups on other things. We'll see. I'm pretty sure it's around here somewhere. Maybe after this section with the red ships. Because I remember always being really nervous watching him play that bit, thinking, you know, the missiles would get him. Could this be it now? Oh, these weird boomerang looking ones. Maybe it's further towards the end. I'll get one more power up in, and then I'll save up for a stealth just in case. So yeah, I wasn't very good at this game as a child. Oh, here it is. I could get up to the 3rd level on a good day, and the 3rd level you're in some sort of volcano, and there's like a big statue of a dragon's head that fires out lava and stuff at you, and that's as far as I ever got in the game. My dad could do that level. I can't remember what level came after it, but I do remember the bonus level, which was like a turbo sort of challenge. You had to go through like a labyrinth at increasing speed and collect what looked like polo mints. I mean, I only remember that because, you know, of that distinction that I made between them looking like polo mints. But look at that Brucey bonus power up in that asteroid there, very nice. Yeah, I don't think I ever got to do that bonus level myself, but I also remember having a poster of that bonus level for some reason. I'm sure it was at least a poster that had that on it. It was the poster that came in the box for the game. I mean, it was a lot more common back then, wasn't it, to get a little poster in your game. I suppose that's because the boxes were usually so big. You know, let's check out the laser beam. Oh. Oh, I've gone off track there. That's the doom of the laser beam, you see. It just fires in a straight line and puts you off. Yeah, the boxes were always so big back then, weren't they? So I suppose the manufacturers felt obligated to put a little bit of something else in there to feel like you were making a good purchase. Because, you know, you'd be getting, you know, 1 or 2 floppy disks on average, sometimes 4 or 500 if you're buying one of the Monkey Island games. I remember borrowing one of the Monkey Island games off one of my mates at the time, and it being an absolute nightmare to change the discs all the time. I remember there being a rumour about this Guardian. You could fly into its mouth when it opened and there would be some sort of bonus level, and I used to try that all the time and I never succeeded. But I'm sure that's something I even saw in Amiga Power magazine back in the day. Maybe someone can confirm that for me if anyone's watching this that has a similar love for this game. Now we've gone through the asteroid belt and we are going down onto the planet's surface now. And before my dad actually bought this game, we had a demo disc of the game, and this was actually the level that was on the demo disc, the snowy planet. So I have actually had a lot of play on this level, more so than the first level. Because back then, you know, demo discs, you'd play them a lot, wouldn't you? You know, it always felt like you got a lot out of demo discs then. Sometimes, you know, it'd be, you know, 5 or 6 games on one disc. They were fantastic. Whereas, even in the sort of PlayStation 1 era, they had good demo discs, but I think the PlayStation 2 was, you know, the sort of era where the demos were phased out. I certainly don't remember having any PlayStation 2 demo discs. I mean, that might have just been me, but you'd think if it was a common culture that we'd, or at least I'd remember it, or at least, you know, have seen it.
Fly around rock surface.
Now, the arcade announcer voice says there, fly around rock surface, which obviously means, you know, the bottom section of the screen now is hazardous, including the trees, which, you know, you might not think, but I always used to think that announcer's voice said fly around rock serpents, and I thought that was that thing that I just killed, a rock serpent, and found it very odd that the announcer warned you about that a lot earlier than it actually appeared on the screen. But I just love the ambient sounds of these levels as well. Like the space one had that sort of hummy kind of sound to it, and now this has the wind sound, which makes it sound very barren and inhospitable. But, you know, some vegetation's obviously growing there, so it can't be all that bad. Now these bee things, I'm sure if they killed you, you know, at the game over screen, there'd be laughter. And that was something that always used to creep me out. I don't know if it was like an Easter egg put in there by the game developers or what, but yeah, if those bees killed you, I'm sure it was just the bees, but maybe not, you know, the game would laugh at you on the game over screen. Now, I don't know if this is a trend with horizontal shooters, but you'll notice that the power-ups are a lot fewer and further between on this level as well, much like it was in Apidia. Even though when you do die in this, it's not quite as cruel, and you can sort of build your way back up. You know, Apidia's just ridiculous, isn't it? If you die once, that's basically it, you know. We're not doing too bad here. I wonder how far we're going to get. I really didn't think I'd get this far. I've never been killed by that lightning either. I wonder if it can actually kill you. More bees or wasps or whatever these are. Look more like dragonflies actually, don't they? Stumpy dragonflies. Oh, that was a shot and a half. Did you see that? It was like faster than any other bullet in the game, that one. Yeah, I really had to pull a decent game out of the bag this week after the atrocity that was Faces. Ooh, he had another dig at me there. Managed to dodge it though. I mean, that Faces game, I do remember playing some games in that era that would just make me feel a bit depressed and down, and I did feel that way after playing Faces, you know. Now, I remember I always used to refer to these as blood on tissue whenever my dad would be shooting them, because they reminded me of the little pieces of tissue my dad would put on his face when he cut himself from shaving. It's not something I had to adopt, thankfully, because as soon as my facial hair started coming out thick and fast, I decided to adopt a beard. So I've had a beard for like the last, 7 years or so.
Select now for guns. Power up.
I'm not sure if that was a controversial thing back in the time, but beards are pretty popular now, so I fell on my feet there. More bees. I think we're on our last life. 1 up 1. It's funny how some games you can have 1 life left, and when you die it's game over, but in others you can go down to 0 and actually die on 0 before it's game over. I think we're near the boss, you know. Got plenty of homing missiles if it is the boss. Oh no, not these. I forgot about these. These used to give me such a hard time. See, those outer ones that rotate are actually oh, the tree. The tree! Oh, I even mentioned about the tree before. I can't believe that. Yep, they're invincible. Oh, game over. Well, thanks for watching, guys. As always, I appreciate it. Take care.